Have you ever noticed yourself constantly accommodating others, hesitating to assert your needs, apologizing when it's not necessary, or feeling utterly depleted because you prioritize everyone else's demands over your own? If this resonates with you, it's time to reflect. Am I valuing myself as much as I value others? Self-respect goes beyond how others perceive you. It fundamentally relates to how you engage with yourself. It's about understanding your worth, establishing firm boundaries, and advocating for your needs without guilt or doubt. In today's episode of Stoic Echoes US, we'll dive into 11 impactful strategies designed to help you reclaim your power, break free from the cycle of people-pleasing, and foster a robust sense of self-respect. These strategies aren't mere theories, they're actionable insights you can implement right away. By learning to set boundaries, confidently say no, and prioritize your emotional health, you'll cultivate a newfound confidence, assertiveness, and mastery over your life. Most importantly, you'll begin to live according to your own standards, liberating yourself from the urge to please everyone around you. If you're ready to stop being soft with others and start honoring yourself more, let's get started. Lesson 1. Break free from people-pleasing. Do you catch yourself saying yes to things you don't truly want to do, just because you fear disappointing someone or triggering conflict? Do you often prioritize others' needs over your own, leaving you mentally and emotionally drained? If so, you're not alone. You may be stuck in the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing. While it might feel like you're prioritizing kindness, deep down, this habit often undermines your sense of self-worth. People-pleasers tend to act out of fear, whether it's the fear of rejection, conflict, or simply not being liked. But here's the catch. When you consistently put everyone else first, you're essentially signaling to yourself and others that your needs aren't important. Think about it. How many times have you said yes out of guilt, only to feel resentment building up afterward? Over time, this can sap your energy, diminish your self-esteem, and leave you burned out from a life that doesn't feel like your own. Here's the thing. People-pleasing doesn't make you a better person, and it doesn't necessarily lead to better relationships either. It erodes your sense of balance, teaches others to expect you to always give in, and leaves you feeling unfulfilled. A close friend of mine struggled with this for years, constantly sacrificing her time, energy, and goals to satisfy the demands of her workplace. She never said no, even when the additional projects took away from her evenings and weekends with her family. Eventually, she quit the job, but not before she broke down emotionally, realizing she had spent years putting her own needs last. Her story is a reminder of how costly people-pleasing can be, not just professionally, but personally. The first step to breaking free is to start valuing yourself as much as you value others. And no, this isn't about becoming selfish or inconsiderate. It's about learning to see your needs and boundaries as just as valid as anyone else's. Think of the times you've helped someone out of obligation rather than goodwill. Does it leave you feeling truly fulfilled? The next time someone asks for your help or commitment, take a pause before you answer. Ask yourself, am I agreeing to this because I genuinely want to contribute, or because I'm afraid of the reaction? if I say no. If it's fear guiding you, that's your signal to practice saying no with grace. For example, a simple response like, "I'd like to help, but I don't have the bandwidth right now," can be polite and firm without leading to unnecessary guilt. Changing this pattern won't happen overnight. The first few times you prioritize your needs over others' requests, you might feel uncomfortable, even selfish, because you've been conditioned to equate self-sacrifice with goodness. But as you practice protecting your time and emotional well-being, you'll notice something amazing. You'll feel less drained, more confident, and more in control of your life. You'll learn to distinguish between relationships based on respect and those based on expectation. And you'll naturally surround yourself with people who value your time and energy. Epictetus reminds us, no one is free who is not master of themselves, and this wisdom is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. When you stop people-pleasing, you're not only respecting your own needs, you're setting yourself free. So ask yourself today, am I giving to others from a place of strength? Or am I giving because I feel like I have no choice? Challenge yourself to say no just once this week when something doesn't align with your priorities or well-being. Even small acts of self-respect can build a life where you are the master, not the prisoner of your choices. In the end, true kindness stems not from obligation, but from authenticity. And respecting yourself is the first step to living a kinder, more meaningful life. Lesson 2, stop over-apologizing today. Do you often find yourself saying, "I'm sorry," for things that don't truly call for an apology, like when someone bumps into you or when you ask a simple question? While apologizing has its place in maintaining healthy relationships, over-apologizing can quietly chip away at your confidence and self-worth. When you constantly say sorry for matters beyond your control or for simply existing, you communicate to others that you're at fault or that your presence is an inconvenience. Over time, this habit not only makes it harder for others to take you seriously, but also reinforces within you the damaging idea that you're always in the wrong, eroding your self-esteem and making self-assertion feel nearly impossible. Consider this. A friend of mine, Sarah, used to apologize for everything. Even when co-workers interrupted her at work, she'd instinctively mutter, "Oh, sorry." One day, a colleague looked at her and said, "Why are you apologizing? You didn't even do anything." The comment stayed with her. She realized she had conditioned herself to apologize, just to keep the peace or avoid conflict. And it had lowered how others perceived her, and more importantly, how she valued herself. Sarah's story might resonate with you. How often do you apologize when no harm was done? Of course, sincere apologies are critical when you've made a mistake or hurt someone. But apologizing habitually, especially over trivial matters, does more harm than good. Instead of instinctively saying sorry every time you feel the need to fill a gap in conversation or diffuse tension, try practicing thoughtful and assertive communication. For instance, if you're a few minutes late to a meeting, instead of saying, "Sorry, I'm late," shift to something like, "Thank you for waiting," or when asking for assistance. Replace "sorry to bother you" with "I appreciate your help." Small changes like these allow you to show gratitude and respect to others, while still maintaining your dignity. This isn't just about changing your words, it's about transforming your mindset. Over-apologizing reflects a deeper belief that you don't have the right to take up space, but the truth is, you do. Pay attention to how often "I'm sorry" creeps into your conversations, and ask yourself, is this something I need to apologize for? Or am I just saying it out of habit? By setting this intention, you remind yourself that not everything warrants an apology. Your voice and presence deserve to be heard without guilt. As the Stoics taught, our strength lies in understanding what you what we can control. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that for a moment. When you apologize and for things outside your control, you're wasting energy on something you cannot change. Instead, take charge of what you can control: your words, your actions, and the way you see and treat yourself. Ask yourself this: am I saying sorry because I've genuinely made a mistake? Or is this just a habit I've fallen into? If it's the latter, start small. Catch yourself. The next time you're about to apologize unnecessarily, pause and reframe your response in a way that communicates respect without diminishing your self-worth. Over time, you'll notice others react to you differently, with more respect and appreciation. And more importantly, you'll start feeling the same respect for yourself. Cutting out the constant apologies doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes or refusing to be accountable. It means recognizing your worth enough to offer an apology, only when it's truly needed. By doing this, you remind yourself and others that your presence matters just as much as everyone else's. Value yourself, prioritize mindful communication, and you'll build the self-respect and confidence to stand tall in every conversation. Lesson 3, own your space with boundaries. Have you ever found yourself agreeing to something that drained your energy or went against your priorities just to avoid conflict or disappointing someone? Or how about remaining silent in an uncomfortable situation because speaking up felt too daunting? If this sounds familiar, it's time to work on setting boundaries, a skill that's not only about protecting your time, but also your emotional well-being and self-respect. Boundaries are invisible, yet powerful lines that define what you'll accept in your life and what you won't. Without taking the time to set them, you risk feeling overwhelmed and resentful, as though life is slipping out of your control. And let's be clear, setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of self-care and respect, one that not only honors your needs, but also helps create healthier, more meaningful relationships. Take Mark, for example, a successful manager who found himself drowning in endless requests from clients and colleagues because he couldn't say no. He'd stay late at work, take on others' responsibilities, and even answer emails during vacations. Over time, he became bitter and burned out, not because of the workload, but because his failure to set boundaries made him feel undervalued and disrespected. Eventually, Mark realized that he had trained others to ignore his limits, simply because he never expressed them. By learning to say, "I'll need time to get back to you," or "I can't add that to my plate right now," he began reclaiming his time and energy. And with that, his confidence and happiness returned. So ask yourself, where in your life is your inability to set boundaries causing frustration or exhaustion? The beauty of boundaries is that they protect both your well-being and your relationships. Far from pushing people away, they foster mutual respect. They show others you value yourself enough to define your limits and value them enough to be honest. For example, if a friend expects you to drop everything whenever they need you, you might say, "I truly care about you, but I won't always be available. Let's plan ahead when we can." Or, if co-workers constantly interrupt you at work, try responding, "Can we connect in an hour when I'm finished?" These small but firm statements clarify what matters to you without being unkind. The truth is, when you respect yourself, others will too. And those who don't, well, they may naturally fall away, making space for healthier, more supportive connections. Another common fear is guilt from saying no. But let's shift the perspective. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your goals or values, you're saying yes to what truly matters. You don't need to over-explain or justify your no. Sometimes a polite and firm "I can't" is all that's needed. Is it uncomfortable at first? Likely, yes, but with practice, it becomes easier. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Building better boundaries is no different. It requires patience, courage, and consistent effort. So, start small. Reflect on one area in your life where you feel overextended or uncomfortable. Where are you saying yes when you really want to say no? This week, commit to asserting a boundary in that situation. It might be as simple as taking a pause before agreeing to something, or gently expressing your needs to someone close to you. Remember, you're not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You're only responsible for upholding them. By setting boundaries and owning your space, you're affirming one powerful truth: I value myself, and I honor my needs. In doing so, you're not only protecting your energy, but also creating space for peace, personal growth, and relationships that respect and uplift you. The more you practice, the more you'll notice as boundaries strengthen, so does your self-respect. Ask yourself, where in my life can I start reclaiming my space? Today, Lesson 4, put yourself first emotionally. How often do you find yourself prioritizing everyone else's feelings while pushing your own to the back burner? Maybe you're the go-to person who listens to a friend vent after a tough day, but when you feel overwhelmed, you hesitate to open up, convinced you don't want to inconvenience anyone. Over time, this pattern can leave you feeling drained, unfulfilled, and even resentful. Here's the truth. Prioritizing your emotional needs isn't selfish. It's essential. Without taking care of yourself, you can't fully show up for the people nor roles that matter most in your life. Yet many of us were taught from a young age to put others before ourselves. believing that constantly giving without taking was the ultimate form of kindness. But here's a reality check. Just as you can't pour from an empty cup, you can't offer genuine support to others when you're running on empty. Take my friend Jake, for example. He'd always been the reliable one, the friend who offered comfort, picked up the phone no matter the hour, and did everything in his power to make sure everyone around him felt better. But on the inside, he was struggling. When Jake went through a rough financial patch, he didn't reach out to anyone. He didn't want to be a burden. Eventually, the strain caught up to him, and he broke down, realizing that no one could support him because he never gave them the chance to. Does Jake's story sound familiar? Many of us end up like him, prioritizing others so much that we completely lose sight of our emotional needs. Putting yourself first emotionally doesn't mean ignoring others. It means caring for yourself, so you can approach life from a place of strength and balance. Start by practicing self-compassion. Too often, we're our own harshest critic. But what would happen if you treated yourself with the same kindness you'd extend to a close friend? If you're dealing with frustration, disappointment, or sadness, allow yourself to pause and rest instead of trying to power through. Self-compassion not only calms your inner critic, but strengthens your resilience and reinforces one critical belief: your well-being matters. And just as importantly, take time to identify your emotional needs. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Do I need rest, space, connection? Am I giving myself the time to truly process what I'm feeling? Many people are so focused on others that they've lost touch with their own emotional needs. But reconnecting with yourself starts with listening. Once you understand what you need, it's vital to communicate it, not with guilt, but with confidence. If you need space, say something like, "I really value our time together, but I just need some time to recharge right now." Or if you're feeling overwhelmed at work, let your boss or team know where your limits lie. With clear, respectful communication, expressing your needs isn't a sign of weakness. It's self-respect in action. And the people who truly care about you will value that honesty. If someone doesn't respect your need for balance, perhaps it's worth reconsidering how much energy you're giving to them. At first, putting yourself first emotionally might feel uncomfortable, even selfish, especially if you've always been the one who prioritizes others. But remember, by taking care of your emotional well-being, you're not just helping yourself, you're creating the foundation for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. After all, how can you expect others to respect your well-being if you don't respect it yourself? Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, perfectly sums it up. A mind that is too busy cannot think clearly. When you prioritize your emotional needs, you create the clarity and inner space needed to grow, thrive, and maintain balance. Here's something small you can try. Next time you feel overwhelmed, pause. Take a deep breath and acknowledge your feelings. Then ask yourself, what do I need right now to feel better? Write it down if you need to, even if it's something as simple as taking a short walk, reading a book that inspires you, or sharing how you feel with someone you trust. The real power lies in forming a habit of checking in with yourself and taking action to meet your needs. So ask yourself today, am I offering myself the same care I give to others? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. Prioritizing your emotional health isn't about selfishness. It's about creating the best version of yourself so you can step into the world with renewed energy, strength, and clarity to give back in ways that really matter. Lesson 5, turn rejection into strength. Rejection is something many of us fear deeply. It stings when you're turned down for a job, feel excluded by a group, or hear a firm no. When you're asking for something that really matters, it can feel personal, even like a judgment of your worth. But the truth is, fearing rejection creates a cage around your life. It keeps you from taking the risks that could lead to growth, keeps you quiet when you should speak up, and leaves you chasing validation from others. If you truly want to build self-respect, embracing rejection is essential. Why is rejection so powerful? At its core, it strikes that vulnerable fear of not being enough, a whisper in your mind that says, if they said no, maybe something's wrong with me. Let me be clear. Rejection isn't a reflection of your value. More often than not, it says more about the circumstances, the fit or the other person's perspective than it ever says about you. The ability to handle rejection with grace is one of the clearest signs of personal strength. Take Emily, for example. She applied for her dream job, poured hours into perfecting her resume, and practiced endlessly before her interview. Yet, when the email came through, it was a rejection. For weeks, she spiraled, doubting her capabilities and feeling paralyzed about applying for anything else. But once she reframed rejection as feedback rather than failure, everything shifted. Instead of seeing it as a personal shortcoming, she used it as a learning experience to refine her application and find a role better suited to her skills. Within months, she landed a job that not only paid better, but truly aligned with her passions. Emily's story highlights a crucial mindset shift. Rejection isn't failure, it's feedback. Every no teaches you something, whether it's what didn't work, what to improve, or even that the situation simply wasn't the right one for you. When you stop fearing rejection, you unlock incredible freedoms. You'll stop making choices based on how others might perceive you and start prioritizing your own values and goals. It allows you to take bolder chances, set boundaries, and focus on opportunities that matter most. One effective way to ease the fear of rejection is to practice it intentionally. Yes, intentionally. Start exposing yourself to rejection in low-stakes situations. Ask for discounts where you wouldn't normally make unusual requests, or set boundaries that might not be received well. Small experiences of hearing no can build resilience, reducing the emotional sting when it happens in more significant areas of life. You'll find that with practice, rejection starts to lose the power it once had over you. The Stoics understood this principle well. Epictetus famously said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can't always control whether others say yes or no, but how you respond is entirely within your hands. By choosing to view rejection as a stepping stone rather than a stopping point, you shift its impact. It stops being something that makes you shrink and becomes a tool for growth and clarity instead. Here's a practical exercise. Think of one area where the fear of rejection is holding you back. Is it asking for a raise, pitching an idea, or expressing your feelings to someone significant? Take the leap this week. Whether the answer is yes or no, simply taking action will build your confidence and self-respect, because courage matters far more than the outcome. Ask yourself this: am I avoiding a chance to grow because I'm too afraid of hearing no? If the answer is yes, remind yourself that rejection is universal. It's something everyone faces. What sets successful people apart is their ability to embrace it and keep moving toward their goals. Every accomplished person you admire has faced countless no's before their big breakthroughs. By seeing rejection as part of the process, you remove its ability to hurt you and open up space for strength, clarity, and new possibilities. The path to self-respect isn't built by avoiding rejection. It's built by embracing it, learning from it, and continuing forward with purpose. When you stop fearing rejection, you begin to live life on your own terms, boldly and unapologetically. And that is where true confidence begins. Lesson 6, build confidence through action. Confidence isn't something you wake up with one day. It's built slowly, decision by decision, and choice by choice. Every small decision you make and stand by reinforces self-respect and your belief in yourself. On the other hand, constantly doubting your judgment or waiting for others to validate your choices does the opposite. It creates dependence on external approval and undermines your confidence. Think about it. When you trust yourself to make a decision, you're essentially saying, I trust my own judgment, and I believe I'm capable of navigating my life. This trust is the foundation of confidence, and it grows stronger from more actual, not passive deliberation. Even if a decision doesn't yield the result you were hoping for, simply making the choice and sticking to it teaches you resilience and assures you that you can handle whatever comes next. Consider our modern-day dilemma of choice, the overwhelming number of options we face every day, from small decisions like, what should I eat for lunch, to larger ones like career paths or major life changes. Many people freeze up when caught in the fear of making the wrong decision. Take Sarah, for instance. She would spend hours researching the best vacation package because she feared picking an option that wasn't perfect. The stress of overthinking made the entire process miserable, and even after booking, she would doubt her decision, wondering if she chose wrong. But when she finally let go of the need for perfection and practiced trusting her choice, she found herself enjoying the moment far more. Sarah's experience highlights a crucial truth. There's no such thing as a perfect decision. Every choice involves some level of uncertainty. What matters is that you act, because inaction or endlessly waiting for the right moment only leads to frustration and wasted time. Building confidence starts with the little things. The next time you're stuck overthinking a simple choice, whether it's what to wear, what to order at a restaurant, or how to spend your evening, decide quickly and stick with it. Remind yourself that the outcome of small decisions isn't life-altering, but the act of deciding reinforces your ability to trust yourself. Beyond small decisions, following through on commitments plays an even bigger role in growing confidence. If you decide to work out twice a week or start journaling daily, honoring those commitments teaches you discipline and strengthens your belief in your capabilities. It's not about whether you get it perfect. It's about proving to yourself that you can follow through. Just as important as taking action is recognizing your progress, celebrating small wins along the way. Too often, we focus solely on big, long-term goals and forget how each step moves us forward. Did you speak up in today's meeting? Did you complete a task you've been avoiding? These small victories matter. Acknowledging them reminds you that you're capable of handling challenges, even when they feel overwhelming. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This wisdom is a reminder that confidence doesn't come from thinking or waiting. It comes from doing. Confidence grows when you take action, no matter how small. Here's a practice to build this mindset. At the end of every day, jot down one decision you made and followed through on. Whether it was sticking to a deadline, making time for yourself, or simply deciding what to eat for dinner. Reflect on how it felt and what it taught you. Over time, you'll notice a pattern. Confidence isn't built in one grand moment, but through consistent, intentional action. Ask yourself, am I hesitating because I fear the outcome or because I don't trust myself? If it's the latter, start today. Make one decision, no matter how small, and don't consult anyone else about it. Stand by it. Confidence isn't an innate trait, it's a skill anyone can develop. By making decisions, acting on them, and learning from every experience, you reinforce your self-respect and show yourself that you're capable of leading your life with clarity and strength. With each choice, however small, you're building the foundation for a more self-assured and empowered version of yourself. Confidence isn't about getting it perfect. It's about taking action, trusting yourself, and moving forward on one decision at a time. Lesson 7. Speak with strength and clarity. Have you ever thought about how the way you communicate shapes not only how others view you, but also how you see yourself? The words you choose, your tone of voice, even how you carry yourself, these subtle details, send a clear message about your confidence and self-worth. When you communicate with clarity and purpose, You're telling the world and yourself, I know my value, and I'm not afraid to stand by it. Yet many people struggle with this, often out of fear of being judged or misunderstood. To soften the blow, they use qualifiers like, I think, or maybe, or over-explain themselves to sound less assertive. While it might feel polite, in the moment, this habit can come across as unsure or hesitant, weakening both your presence and the impact of your words. Consider this. Tom, a colleague of mine, was brilliant at his job, but often over-apologized and softened his language during meetings. Instead of saying, here's my solution, he'd start with, I could be wrong, but maybe we should. As a result, his brilliant ideas were sometimes overlooked, even though they were spot on. When Tom began practicing direct, confident language, saying things like, this is what I suggest, and here's why, not only did people start paying closer attention, but he felt more self-assured too. This highlights an important point. Confident communication begins with choosing your words carefully. Instead of saying, sorry, but do you think maybe we could say, can we, or I'd like to. These small shifts make a big difference in how others perceive you and how you perceive yourself. But communication isn't just in the words you say, it's in your body language too. Even the clearest statement can lose its impact if you slouch or avoid eye contact or speak too softly. Standing tall, maintaining steady eye contact, and speaking in a calm, deep, measured tone sends a powerful message of confidence. And the best part, when your body projects assurance, your mind starts to believe it too. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to these non-verbal cues. Keep your posture upright, shoulders back, and let your voice carry a tone of composure. You'll notice a ripple effect. Not only will others respond more positively, but you'll feel a new level of self-respect from within. Another part of clear communication is navigating disagreements with strength and grace. Disputes are inevitable, but how you handle them says a lot about your self-worth. Instead of raising your voice or retreating, practice staying calm and standing firm. Phrases like, I understand your perspective, but here's mine, or I respect your view, but I see it differently, allow you to hold your ground without disrespecting others. This balance of respect and certainty makes your voice not just heard, but valued. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely noted, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Effective communication isn't just about expressing yourself, it's about listening deeply and responding with intention. So ask yourself, am I communicating in a way that truly reflects my worth? If the answer is no, it's time to start making small changes. Speak with more clarity, carry yourself with purpose, and focus on being concise yet confident in your words. Over time, these habits not only improve your communication skills, but also strengthen your sense of self-respect. Remember, confident communication doesn't mean being loud or overpowering. It means being clear, calm, and unwavering in your belief in yourself. When you learn to stand tall in both your posture and your words, you naturally earn respect from the world and, most importantly, from yourself. Lesson 8. Calmly master the art of conflict. Conflict is a natural part of life. It's bound to happen. Whether it's a disagreement with someone at work, a misunderstanding with a friend, or a clash of opinions with a family member. The true measure of self-respect isn't found in avoiding conflict, but in handling it with grace, composure, and confidence. When you navigate conflict without losing your cool, you send an important message to others and yourself. I respect myself enough to stay calm, and I respect you enough to engage in a constructive way. But let's be honest, handling conflict can be uncomfortable for most of us. Often it triggers a fight or flight response. Some people lash out aggressively, raising their voices, blaming or attacking, thinking it means standing up for yourself. However, this damages relationships and often leaves regret behind. Others take the opposite route. They avoid conflict altogether, staying silent to keep the peace. While this might mask tension, in the short term, unresolved issues often fester over time, diminishing both your self-respect and your agenda. Susein de statura, de shin nor, na legislatura, nan nishios with hair says societatio seashort. The healthiest way to handle conflict lies in a middle ground. Assertiveness without aggression. Assertiveness is about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and boundaries clearly and respectfully without letting emotions take over. It's about standing your ground with calm confidence while remaining open to dialogue. Let's take Sarah as an example. Sarah had a misunderstanding with her boss over workload expectations. Her initial instinct was to either snap back defensively or say nothing at all, unsure of how to address the situation. But instead, she practiced staying calm, approached her boss with a level tone, and explained, "When X happened, I felt overwhelmed and would like us to align better on expectations." Instead of escalating or avoiding the issue, clarity and respect kept the relationship intact and allowed Sarah to express herself effectively. Clear communication in a conflict begins with managing your emotions. When you feel anger, frustration, or anxiety bubbling up during a disagreement, take a moment to pause and breathe deeply. This resets your nervous system, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Once calm, focus on the issue rather than attacking the person. Instead of blaming, zero in on the behavior or problem. For instance, say, "When you missed the deadline, I felt pressured because it impacted our team's timeline," rather than, "You always let everyone down." This approach reduces defensiveness and keeps the conversation focused and productive. Using I statements like "I feel" or "I need" can also make your concerns clear without sounding accusatory. Another critical element of managing conflict is knowing when to disengage. Sometimes the person on the other side might become overly emotional, defensive, or aggressive. When this happens, staying engaged can escalate the tension. Choosing to gracefully step away by saying something like, "I think it's a good idea to take a break and revisit this," when we've both had time to cool off, can protect both your emotional well-being and the integrity of the relationship. Remember, refusing to argue in unproductive circumstances isn't a weakness, it's a sign of maturity and self-respect. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't always control the conflict itself, but how you respond to it is always in your hands. Here's something to try. The next time you're facing a conflict, commit to staying calm and composed. Focus on listening to the other person's perspective while expressing your own feelings and boundaries clearly. Think about finding a resolution instead of trying to win the argument. After the conversation ends, take a moment to reflect what went well and what could be improved next time. These reflections build your skills over time and make future conflicts less daunting. Ask yourself, am I reacting emotionally to conflict, or am I taking the time to respond thoughtfully? If you catch yourself as reacting out of impulse, practice pausing to breathe before speaking. Remember, self-respect grows when you face conflicts with clarity and composure. Over time, this calm, focused approach will not only strengthen your confidence, but also show others that you value both yourself and them. Managing conflict thoughtfully isn't just a skill, it's an act of self-care that protects your boundaries, builds mutual respect, and fosters peace. Lesson 9, surround yourself with uplifting people. Take a moment to reflect on the people in your life. Are they the one who support your ambitions, respect your boundaries, and inspire you to grow? Or do they leave you feeling drained, unappreciated, and questioning your worth? The truth is, the company you keep has a significant impact on your state of mind and the value you place on yourself. Surrounding yourself with uplifting, positive relationships strengthens your confidence, fosters emotional well-being, and reminds you that you deserve respect and kindness. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual trust, respect, and encouragement. They allow you to share your true self without fear of judgment, while receiving support for your goals and individuality. But if a relationship consistently brings negativity, manipulation, or criticism, it's a sign that it may be doing more harm than good. These relationships can leave your confidence diminished and your self-worth shaken. Think about Rachel. She spent years caught in a cycle with a toxic friend. Every conversation left her feeling small, as though her accomplishments weren't enough and her feelings weren't valid. When Rachel finally took a step back and started setting boundaries, she noticed her energy shift. She realized how much lighter and more empowered she felt when she spent time with people who celebrated her victories and encouraged her. Rachel's story illustrates an important distinction. Healthy relationships feel like a balanced exchange of energy, while toxic ones drain and deplete you. So how can you distinguish between the two? Start by setting clear boundaries. When someone respects your boundaries, whether it's a limit on your time, a preference for communication, or simply saying no to something that doesn't serve you, that's a promising sign of a healthy relationship. However, if someone constantly ignores or violates your boundaries, it's a red flag that the relationship may not align with your well-being. Next, seek reciprocity. Healthy relationships are two-way streets where both individuals contribute, whether it's through emotional support, time, or kindness. If you find yourself constantly giving and rarely receiving in return, ask yourself whether this dynamic is truly serving you. Lastly, let go of toxic connections when necessary. While it can be difficult, especially with long-standing relationships, stepping away from individuals who drain your energy or fail to respect you is an act of self-respect. This doesn't have to be a dramatic confrontation. It can simply mean prioritizing your well-being by creating emotional distance when needed. But building healthy relationships isn't just about avoiding negativity. It's also about cultivating meaningful, positive connections. Spend your time with those who energize and inspire you, who listen to you with compassion and without judgment, and who are genuinely happiest for your successes rather than envious. Positive relationships not only nourish your sense of self-respect, but also empower you to become a better version of yourself. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely observed, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. This reminds us that strong relationships are a two-way exchange. They're about giving as well as receiving support in ways that foster the mutual growth. Here's a practical step you can take today. Make a list of the 5 people you spend the most time with and ask yourself what they bring into your life. Do they make you feel valued? Do they encourage your growth and push you to be the best you can be? If the answer is yes, think about how you can deepen those connections, perhaps by showing gratitude, spending more quality time together, or being more intentional in your support of them. On the flip side, if the answer is no, ask yourself what changes you need to make. This could mean setting firmer boundaries, distancing yourself from certain individuals, or opening yourself up to meeting new people who uplift and inspire you. Don't underestimate the power of your choices when it comes to relationships. Ask yourself, am I surrounding myself with people who lift me up or people who pull me down? Remember, you have control over who gets access to your energy and attention. By prioritizing relationships that encourage your growth and respect your worth, you set the foundation for a confident, thriving version of yourself. And don't forget, it's not just about receiving. Lesson 10, be your true self and keep growing. Have you ever tried to fit into someone else's expectations just to be accepted or liked? Maybe you've changed the way you talk, act, or even think, hoping to please those around you. While this might bring short-term approval, over time, it chips away at your self-respect. True self-respect comes from living authentically, being who you truly are, not who others expect you to be. When you hide parts of yourself or pretend to be someone you're not, you send a subtle message to your mind. Who I am isn't good enough, but the truth is, embracing your authentic self is one of the most powerful ways to build lasting confidence and self-respect. It means showing up as you are, flaws and all, and trusting that you're worthy of respect simply by being you. Being your true self doesn't mean refusing to grow. It means growing while staying true to your values and identity. Life is a journey of constant learning and self-improvement, but that growth should come from a place of self-acceptance, not self-rejection. You can strive to be better while still appreciating on who you are in this moment. Here's how to start. First, identify what truly matters to you. Take time to reflect on your values, passions, and beliefs. Ask yourself, am I living in a way that aligns with what's important to me? When you live according to your values, you feel more grounded and secure in yourself. Second, stop seeking external validation. It's natural to want approval from others, but when your self-worth depends on it, you give away your power. Instead of asking, what will they think of me? Start asking, what do I think of myself? The only validation that truly matters is your own. Third, accept your imperfections. No one is perfect, and striving to be will only lead to frustration. Embrace your flaws as part of what makes you unique. Self-respect grows when you stop trying to meet impossible standards and start appreciating yourself in as you are. Another important part of being your true self is letting go of comparison. It's easy to look at others and feel like you're falling short. But comparison is a trap that steals your joy. Instead of measuring your worth against others, focus on your own journey. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and keep moving forward at your own pace. The Stoics believed in the power of self-mastery and authenticity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This reminds us that instead of trying to fit into others' definitions of success or worth, we should focus on being true to ourselves and living according to our own principles. It's a simple exercise to take a few minutes to write down 3 things that make you who you are, your strengths, values, or qualities you're proud of. Then, think about one area in your life where you may be holding back from being your true self, whether at work, in a relationship, or in a social setting. Challenge yourself to show up authentically in that area, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Ask yourself, am I living as my true self, or am I trying to be someone I'm not? If you realize you've been hiding parts of yourself, don't be too hard on yourself. This is something many people struggle with, but starting today, commit to being a little more honest, a little more real, and a little more you. Remember, self-respect isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. By embracing who you are and staying committed to your growth, you create a life that feels genuine and fulfilling. Being your true self is a lifelong journey, but with every step, you strengthen your confidence, deepen your self-respect, and move closer to becoming the best version of yourself.